First flagship 2025 hunting bow, Bear Persist 33. Let's see what it's got. Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. MFJJ here with podiumarcher.com, looking at the Bear Persist 33 and putting it through our new vigorous testing setup. So what you'll see over here on our little layout here is all the things we're measuring and all the things we're checking. And the rank and points in which we're giving them. This is new for 2025. It's got the EKO cam on it. A lot of cut out of the riser, relatively decent amount of cutting, some unique features that are just to them. Bear's got a little level in the riser here, little hook loop to hang your bow on when you're pulling it up, little vibration dampeners integrated in the riser, adjustments in the cable guard, which that would go into like a tuning feature somewhat. Front integration, rear integration. This year we are testing all the bows with a fall away and the same exact one on every bow, so we can't get people criticizing about that. We have this bow set at 30 inches and 70 pounds, but we'll put it on the scale for you to where you can see it, and it's not a human hand drawing it back, it's the tool. So we've varied that out of the equation. This bow is rated at, let me get the specs off of this here. ATA is 33. The brace height is 6 1/4. Oh, we're adding a new measurement for you that we're calling load off point. We can get most of these measurements in there. There's 4 different let off settings available, and it's all based off of the positioning you set it at and the way you set the peg. 2 different limb weights of 45 to 60, 55 to 70, and the draw length spectrum is 26.5 to 30.5, and the speed that we're looking for is 340. So it's supposed to be 340 FPS. All right, well, we'll measure some of this stuff and see what we come up with, but let's start with, I think I'm going to put everything in here and measure everything in here this year. I did get a little different tool measurement for reflex so we can be a little more accurate. Thanks, buddy, for sending me that, another one. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and pull this back in here. Now, I just checked this before we turned the camera on and got 69.8 pounds. All right. Since we got it back in here, we'll take a couple of measurements for what your actual arrow length is. I'm going to rotate it so you can see it that way. There we go. Okay, so it's like 30 to the back of the riser. So I would say this is measuring out right now closer to 30 and 3/8 of actual length. Around it, so 30 and 3/8, which is pretty long. Let's get our axle to axles at rest, so we'll come back and measure that when we set it down. Let's see here. Riser length is 29 inches. The new measurement, what I'm calling the load off point, is the measurement from where the string leaves the cam on either end, which should help you mimic or duplicate your actual string angle for each bow. And that's measuring about 33, I'm going to give it 33.5. So this is a number you can compare over and over and over to find a feeling that's similar on each bow as it comes to rest against your face. Reflex design. So hang on, let me see this little bugger right here. So we're going to the center of it, and we'll put this in the center of it. And that should be the front of it. So if I'm measuring it right with this, hang on. That's about it. Center to center. It's almost 2 inches of reflex, like 1 7/8 inches. not terrible. All right, let's measure our actual axle to axle and verify what that scale weight was. I'm gonna turn it back on, pull this out of here. Whoop, whoop. Okay. 70.6 is what it's saying it was this time. So I'm gonna cycle it one more time and see what it says. 70.2 pounds. That's within the realm. All right, and now we can measure the, let's see, we got two other things to measure here. We got to measure the actual axle to axle. I can just set that right here. So we'll go from the end of the round dowel to the end of the round dowel. That's probably 33. Do it here. And touching that. 33 and a 16th. Is that a quarter or an eighth? That's an eighth. So I'd say 33 and a 16th. So it's just a little bit long. Just barely. Rise length. Let's see. Our physical weight is supposed to be 5.1 pounds, which will have it being about the freaking heaviest bow that we probably test this year, because that's not something they're really focused on, but let's see what it comes out to. So let's measure out at 5.0, 5.1 with the rest on it. So, I mean, it's probably slightly under the weight that they say it is. There's 5 there, so I'd say it's slightly under. So it's really, I'd give it a 4.9 actual. Brace height, we also have to measure at rest here. And this might just be long enough to do a perfect job of it, since it's just over 6 1/4. And if you measure to the back of the string, which I think is where most people try to measure to, this is more like 6 1/8. Yeah, 6 1/8. Now, if you took the grip off of this, it might hit 6 1/4. So, but with the grip on, the way it's sent, it's 6 1/8. Okay, so we got a riser length, we've got a loadout point, we've got reflex geometry, axle to axle. So now we need speed. So what we're going to do on this bow is we're going to shoot 3 arrows at 350, 3 arrows at 450, and I've switched up the third arrows to 650 grain arrows because of the Ashby bone breaking threshold. If you're a heavy arrow guy, that's probably the weight you're going with. So we moved that, and we will shoot it with at 28 inches on 450 grains because that's the most common arrow weight that people use. So you can see the difference between 30 and 28 inches. So let's go do some of that. All right, so we're doing it a little differently this year on shooting through the chronograph, and we're also testing the decibel measurement of the bow. So we have the chronograph I've always used that you all claim is broken and doesn't work right. I've got a Garmin right here, and I've done this a bunch already, and they're exactly the same, but you'll get to see it yourself. And then we have our decibel meter over here that measures how loud things are. Now, you might wonder why this is here, but this is blocking the noise of the arrow hitting the bail, because the loudest thing in this whole equation is actually the arrow striking the bail. So if we don't block that noise from that, you're going to hear that. All the bows that I test this year, this will be at the exact same distance from where I'm standing. Same with the chronograph, same as that chronograph. So everything is exact equal medium. You should get a fair comparison, but I gave you an extra chronograph in there just so you can stop bitching and telling me my chronograph's broken. Okay, so this is a 350 grain arrow. I'm talking quiet as to not disrupt the decibel meter. 70 pounds and 30 inches. .335, .333. .350 grains, 70 pounds. .336, .332, or .333. 334, 333. Okay, so we got 334 FPS, and our noise was 77.5. All right, let's shoot those 450s, 650s, and then we'll redo this at 28 for 450s. So we had technical difficulties. We forgot to turn this camera on when we shot the first 3 through here. We did say with this chronograph shot out loud, so you will get that audio in the other one, but you're not going to get this angle. But you should be able to get this angle on the other ones. We're done with the decibel meter now, because we're only going to shoot with the decibel meter with the lightest arrows, so the bow hopefully makes the most amount of noise, so we can measure a real tangible difference between them. And now we're just shooting 450 grain arrows, 650 grain arrows, and then we'll do it at 28 with 450 as well. Give you the chronograph readings on both, and that'll be good. All right, 450 grain arrows. Let's see what we get. .301 and 297. So the funny thing that I'm finding here for all those people at home that are claiming my chronograph was broken is that the Garmin's measuring slower, not faster, than my trusty old chronograph that I've used forever for this stuff. I find that funny. 295, 296. One more. I forgot my board. .296, 296. So most consistently it looks like 296. So let me go pull those and write down 296. Okay, now we have the heavy bone breaking arrows, the 650 grainers. .246 feet a second and 249 on the Garmin, or 250 basically. .250, 251. So I'd say an average of 250 right now. .251, 249.8. So we're going to call it 250 as an average for those. Write that down. We'll get this changed to 28, and then we'll shoot it again. Okay, we're now reset at 28 inches with 450 grain arrows, just to give you what the difference is on 28 from 30 on the most common arrow weight people use. Okay. .275, 277. 276. Yep. I rounded it up, kiddo. So that's an average of 276 between the two. .276, 277. So we're still averaging 276. One more. .280, 277.8. So I'll give you a 277 average on all those. And all right, we got a 277 on the 28 inch. So if you follow the average, it's only 10 foot, it's 10 foot a second per inch. 96, 86, 76, yeah. Roughly 10 foot a second per inch on that, which is not bad. I've seen it be as high as 15, so that's pretty darn good. Now, I have my suspicions because this did shoot quite a bit close to its published speed, and if I remember right, last year it didn't, that we're going to have to check this scale on its weight and make sure it's reading accurately. We have to get these 2 videos done, but we have a little bit before we have to do any more, so we'll verify and validate that. And if these end up being inaccurate because that's not measuring accurately, we will post on Instagram about it and let you know what the difference was after we're allowed to release these bows. But we're going to go off these numbers because that's what we got. To base speed number, we're going off of a 350 foot a second bow giving you the maximum number here. So rather than this bow should go this fast and it doesn't or whatnot, we're just going to go off of that. So if you hit 335, you get a 12. You hit 330, you get an 11. We hit 334, so that's hitting 330, so you got an 11 for speed. Features of the bow. Did I leave it back here? I did. Hang on, let me go grab it. So in the features category, I would call these vibration dampeners a feature. I would call this a feature. I would call that a feature. They do make a couple of different grip options for here. This wrist sling that goes through the riser and set screws in here, that's another feature. You do have a couple of different stabilizer hold positions, but things I don't see, well, those would actually collate back more to integration, not features. So I'm honestly going to give you a 4 for features because there's a lot of unique things that this bow is to itself. Tunability, as far as I know, it's spacers and adjusting your cable guard to adjust your wheeling. It's a step above spacers, but in all reality, there's not a lot of versatility to how this bow tunes or what options you have to make it perfect, per se. So I'm going to give you a relatively low number here. I'm going to give you a 5 because you do have multiple spacers and a way to adjust your wheeling here, but you'll run into issues with contact here. So there's only so much you can do here, and it doesn't seem to change it very much. You have to do most of it in there, which is an absolute pain in the ass. Integration. Front mount, rear mount, automatic points for integration. And then the next things that I would go off of past that are if you have a V-bar bracket that attaches to the bow some way uniquely, not just your standard hole like anything else, but it's unique to you, and an excessively low profile quiver system or that sort of thing that goes in there. So integration, I'm going to give you a 5 because you don't offer those other things, but you are offering the standard integration things that everyone should be offering in today's day and age if you're not. Honesty, well, let's see. You said your bow was 33, it's 33 1/16, pretty close. Maybe you lost a point there. Your weight, you said it was 5'1", and it's actually 4'9". That's a hard one to mark you down for, but technically it's different. Your brace said 6 1/4, it's actually 6 1/8. Your speed said 350 and you shot 334. That's within 10. That's pretty damn good on everything I've measured. I'm a little suspicious on whether or not that's reading right or not, so I will have to go back and check that. But, and what was the other one? Hang on, there was one off of it. Oh, your actual draw length. Your actual draw length measures almost a 1/2 inch long. I mean, you gave me great marks on speed. You're under your weight, not over your weight. I think you're trying to be honest, other than this guy right here is going to hit you. So I'm going to give you a 9 on honesty. Feel. I'm not big on a contoured grip personally. I like it to be square edged, and underneath here I'm sure is square edged, but it isn't an uncomfortable bow. Didn't feel like hardly any vibration. It's pretty dead in the hand, which was shocking. There isn't really a massive hump in it for how fast the bow is, and I didn't feel any inconsistency in the cycle, which I have felt that in the past on the Bears. Honestly, for feel, I got to give you at least a 7. Let's say it feels pretty darn good. The back wall's not perfect. Personally, I think it could be much more rigid. Design and forgiveness. So that's, in my opinion, riser length, which this is a 33-inch bow with a 29-inch riser. It'd be neat to see that longer because that's going to give you more stability. It's close to 2 inches of reflex. Let's see here. Because I really like engineering and design for a forgiving bow. It did look like you did a lot of cuts in here. I'll give you, I'm going to middle of the road you on this one, honestly. Because I know comparatively this number will evolve as we get through this process this year. I'm gonna give you an 8. Value. This bow is $12.49. Probably isn't going to have the greatest resale in the world. I mean, you're dealing with a market where you're competing with a Hoyt and a Matthews, really, in that price point. That's a hard thing to do. So honestly, value, I'm probably going to give you a 2. I think this bow would probably crush at like 1,000 to 1,100. Sound, I'm going off of what we measured prior and what the difference was. It came out as 77.5. I'm going to give you a 2 on sound because I think that's actually going to be loud. When we get them all done at the end of the year, if that ends up being a good number, I'll go back and change it. Appeal and quality. These bows have held up relatively good over the years for us and in the last 3 or 4. Pockets are good in solid aluminum. The finish has been relatively good. I'll give you a 3 on appeal and quality. All right, now I get to do mathing. Hang on. Okay, as long as I did my math right, I better double up here real quick, just triple check. 15, 20, 25, 34, 41, 49, yeah, 51. Okay, I got a total of 56 as the overall total score. Now, I expect even my greatest bows with this new ranking here to not exceed like 75 or 80 because I'm trying to leave room to grow in the future and keep this consistent. So I'm going to rank these things mostly hard and difficult. So 56 will probably end up being a relatively decent score. Like I said, a couple of things on there for the price structure of what this bow is. I mean, it's nothing personal to Bear, but I don't think the majority of the industry is going to put it in the echelon comparable of, you know, your Hoyt or your Matthews, so it's hard to give it a value. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that noise level is a little on the high side. And I can go back and change these as we evolve, and we are going to put a spreadsheet of this on the website, and every time we update a new one, we'll add it to it so you can go back and review and compare. And if we do make changes to it, we'll announce them on Instagram and change it on the website so you can go back and look. What do you think of the new process here? Is this dumb? Is this great? Did you like the fact that we changed and tried a different draw length so you could see the difference between those? Was it wise to go up to a 650 grain arrow instead of 550? Is this whole thing a giant waste of time? Am I a moron? Comment down below and let me know all of that. But this is a bow that is in your pro shop locally. So please go test fire and try out this bow locally. Hopefully you know a little bit more about it and a little bit more insight into it, and go check out your local shop. If you're going to buy things online, not this, head on over to podiumarchery.com for all those archery needs. $99 and up is free shipping, and use coupon code MFJJ to save you a little money. Thanks for watching.